By 175 AD, the Roman Empire reached from the Syrian desert to the forests of Britain. It was the apex of human power, a massive geopolitical machine that defined the known world. This is Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was the absolute master of that machine, holding the power of life and death over nearly 80 million people. But that power offered no protection against the Antonine Plague. The pandemic was currently dismantling the empire from within, killing millions without regard for rank or title. The crisis then turned political. Avidius Cassius, the emperor's most trusted general, committed treason by declaring himself the new ruler and leading a massive military rebellion. Beneath the weight of war and plague was a more intimate tragedy. Amid the national collapse, Marcus and his wife were mourning the death of their young son. In a matter of months, the man who theoretically owned absolutely everything found that he actually controlled nothing. His politics, his military, and his private life were all fracturing simultaneously. To find the leader of this crumbling world, you have to look past the capital and the war rooms. It is midnight on the front lines, and Marcus is alone in a freezing military tent. Logically, an emperor facing high treason should be issuing execution orders and mobilizing legions to crush his rivals. Instead, he is sitting at a desk, quietly writing his private thoughts in a notebook. It is easy to view this as the act of a man who has simply given up, a ruler so overwhelmed by reality that he has retreated into a diary to hide from it. But this writing was a deliberate strategy. He wasn't hiding from the chaos. He was using the page to reclaim his mind from it. The pages we now call his meditations were never intended for an audience. They were a psychological survival kit designed to prevent his emotions from dictating how he used his absolute power. The core of his strategy was cognitive distancing. This is the clinical separation of a raw external event from our internal emotional reaction to that event. Stoicism isn't about ignoring pain. It is about inserting a barrier of objective facts between the world and your mind, allowing you to choose the story you tell yourself about what is happening. Marcus practiced this every morning. He would sit and explicitly prepare himself to encounter people who were deceitful, ungrateful, and aggressive. When he eventually met those people, he didn't view their behavior as a personal attack. He viewed it as a factual, inevitable byproduct of their own ignorance. By stripping away the emotional layer of a crisis, he stopped seeing a disaster and started seeing a sequence of objective data points. Imagine this ship caught in a massive storm. The wind and waves are violent, unpredictable, and completely indifferent to the sailors. In 17 AD, the plague, the military treason, and the death of his son were the waves hitting Marcus's ship. Even with the title of emperor, Marcus realized he could not command the sea to be calm or the wind to stop blowing. He shifted his focus entirely to the ship's rudder, the only part of the vessel that responded to his touch. The rudder represents the mind's internal decision-making process. While he had zero control over the storm itself, he maintained absolute control over how he steered his rudder in response to it. He drew a sharp line between the external world he couldn't touch and the internal mind that belonged entirely to him. 2,000 years have passed. Our tools have changed, but the baseline vulnerabilities of the human brain remain exactly as they were in the 2nd century. We no longer face crumbling empires, yet we lose our emotional composure over a traffic jam or a slow internet connection. Our modern reflex when we feel pain or frustration is to broadcast it, to immediately post our grievances for the world to see. There is a deep irony here. The man who owned half the world wrote down his darkest struggles for an audience of one, never intending for another soul to read them. When we broadcast our struggles online, are we actually managing our emotions, or are we just performing our strength for the sake of digital approval? Marcus found his peace in the quiet, often uncomfortable isolation of questioning his own thoughts, far away from the need for external sympathy. The most powerful empire you will ever rule is not the world around you, but the mind within you.